The rattling twist of an unfamiliar key in my front door jolted me out of my chair. My pulse surged. Through the slits of the curtains, I spotted a woman in a pea coat struggling with the lock like she owned the place. When the key failed, she whipped out her phone and dialed emergency services, spewing a fabricated tale about the house being hers. I kept still, watching, knowing the voice on the other end of that call would shift the game entirely. My name's Eric Sanders. I'm 47, recently retired from the Coast Guard after 2 decades of service. These days, I consult part-time for a private security outfit in a quiet, gated suburb called Bramble Creek. I thought my days of confrontation were behind me. That was before Gina Whitmore entered my life. Gina, a 49-year-old self-appointed enforcer of neighborhood order, strutted around with the confidence of a sheriff in a one-horse town. Her rigid posture, silver-streaked hair always in a tight twist, and a wardrobe of tailored blazers, usually some bold color like teal or burnt orange, screamed authority. Her favorite accessory? A clipboard brimming with printed citations. She treated the Bramble Creek Home Charter like gospel and saw herself as its prophet. Then there was my son, Logan, 28, city dispatch coordinator. He'd been in the game long enough to recognize when something didn't add up. It all kicked off with a rose bush. One red rose bush. I planted it myself one crisp April morning, right under the front window. I barely had the dirt packed when Gina arrived with her standard greeting, a citation and a disapproving stare. "You've breached Section 5.9C of the Covenant Charter," she said, pointing to the bright balloons like they were biological weapons. "Only cream or blush pink flowers are allowed in visible yard spaces. You have 48 hours to correct this violation or face further penalties." I looked at the fine, $2.25. "I don't recall seeing that in the contract when I bought this house," I said. "That's because we updated the guidelines just last month," she replied, her tone sugary with condescension. All homeowners received an email. I called Logan that night, more amused than angry, but his reaction surprised me. "Dad, funny thing. Earlier today, I took a call from someone in your area," he said. "A woman claimed there was a man burying suspicious materials in a front yard. I thought it was a prank until I realized the address she gave was yours." I laughed at the absurdity, but it hit me. This wasn't just about flowers. Gina was targeting me. Over the next week, her campaign gained steam. Monday morning, she cited me for excessive driveway occupancy. My car had been parked there while I hauled in groceries. Fine, $65. Tuesday, she measured my grass with a ruler and claimed it exceeded the community height limit by a quarter inch. Wednesday, she said my door's paint color, what I thought was sage, was juniper mist, not on the approved palette. Each day, a new complaint, each fine more ridiculous than the last. When I asked to see the HOA's actual rules, she brushed me off with, "They're under digital revision. Just trust your board." Thing was, I wasn't part of any HOA. My research into property records revealed something she hadn't counted on. I bought my home directly from Bramble Creek's original developers, Hollow Pine Construction, and the land was never transferred to HOA control. Legally, their bylaws didn't apply to me at all. That's when I started playing the long game. Cameras went up. I documented every encounter. I kept calm and collected, even as she escalated. One morning, she turned up with a locksmith and a letterhead that looked official but was pure fiction. "I'm exercising emergency authority to secure this property," she said, motioning for the locksmith to change my locks. I didn't stop her. I just filmed the whole thing and called my old friend Alex, now a real estate lawyer. His reaction was instant. She just committed felony trespass and unlawful entry. Gina had no clue the trap she'd walked into. That night, I booked a room at a motel and started digging deeper. Logan, now my inside man, shared dispatch logs. Over 3 weeks, Gina had phoned in 12 bogus 911 calls about my address. Noise complaints, package deliveries labeled suspicious activity, even a pizza delivery flagged as a potential narcotics drop. "She's abusing the system," Logan said, "and the department's getting tired of her." My neighbors began opening up. Mrs. Ellen James, a retired nurse, confessed that she'd been fined $85 for keeping wind chimes on her porch. Darren, a schoolteacher, said Gina cited him for aggressive sprinkler patterns. The HOA had become her personal fiefdom. I found out why. She'd created a company, Whitmore Property Management, and the HOA had been funneling $5,000 a month into it for community management without anyone's consent. Essentially, she was paying herself to enforce rules she made up. Then Alex called. "Eric, this gets better. Your property isn't just exempt from HOA rules. The entire HOA structure Gina's running is legally baseless. There's no record of her ever being elected. She just claimed the title when the last president moved out. With everything in hand, I decided to make a move. I planted a sunflower right in the center of my yard. A big, golden, cheerful middle finger. She showed up the next day with a $500 fine. Yellow blooms are prohibited by Community Ordinance 7.2, she snapped. I'd like to see the record of that ordinance and the vote that approved it, I said calmly. Her face flushed. I don't need to provide that. I am the president. Wrong answer. I sent a formal legal request through Alex demanding all HOA records, votes, and financial documents. Her response came back not with proof, but with a cease and desist letter accusing me of harassment. The final blow came a few days later. I came home from a weekend away to find my locks changed again and a garish orange notice on the door declaring my home secured under HOA authority. I called the police. Officer Grant arrived, reviewed my ownership paperwork, and shook his head. "She can't do this," he said. "You want to press charges?" "Not yet," I replied. "I've got something better." That night, we packed the town hall. Gina arrived in a new cobalt blazer, carrying her usual binder of self-made laws and stage photos. She launched into a dramatic slideshow, painting me as a menace to Bramble Creek's values. When she finished, I stood. Logan had joined me this time. "I prepared some information," I said. "Let's talk facts." I showed them the deed, proving my property was never under HOA control. I showed the state law requiring resident votes for any HOA changes, none of which ever happened. Then I revealed the payments to Gina's fake business, totaling over $60,000. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, even some shouting. "Last slide," I said. "Here's county documentation confirming no record of Gina Whitmore ever being elected or appointed to the HOA board." Silence. Logan stood beside me. "I'm Logan Sanders, city dispatcher. I've been watching this unfold. My dad's not the problem. She is." At that point, Gina knew the jig was up. Officer Grant returned the next day, this time with a warrant. In the end, Gina's empire of intimidation crumbled faster than anyone imagined. With the truth exposed and legal action underway, she disappeared from Bramble Creek almost overnight. No farewell, no apology, just the quiet slam of a moving truck door. The HOA, now revealed to be a hollow shell of her invention, was officially dissolved. Neighbors who once feared speaking up began swapping stories on sidewalks and sharing laughs that had long been missing. The red rose bush I planted, once the spark of her crusade, now bloomed freely, joined by sunflowers, tulips, and a few rebellious gnomes courtesy of Ellen James. But more than flowers grew from that mess. Something stronger took root. A neighborhood no longer ruled by fear, but by trust. We held a real community meeting the following month. No blazers, no clipboards. Just people, real voices, real votes. We didn't need a self-appointed enforcer to tell us how to live. Gina thought she was the authority. What she never realized was that community isn't built on control. It's built on respect, accountability, and knowing when to stand your ground. I didn't go looking for a fight. But when it came to my home, I wasn't backing down. Not for anyone. Not even a queen without a crown.